very relevant. So I'm happy that we had this pre-conversation, and I think it's important that we go and move into these spaces as we age, and that I hope there are more and more of this idea and concept that comes to fruition, not just here in Mexico, but just globally. I think that it's important for us not to abandon each other, and for us not to abandon our friends and our loved ones and things like that. So, hi everyone, I'm Michelle Wedderburn for Casa Elm and Hacienda Elm here in San Miguel de Allende. You've probably come right into a conversation that Illiana and I have already started, so I'm very, very excited for us to have this conversation and talk tonight. I appreciate all of you that check in every single week and or support my channel. And for anyone who is looking for a place to be, stay, relocate, visit, whatever about San Miguel, we've got you covered. We are the Soft Landing Experience here in this part of Mexico. We are in central Mexico. I have lived here for over 7 years. I help facilitate those who are interested in relocating. I help talk about the issues that affect us and the living that we have here. And I'm so grateful to Mexico. Illiana has been a true friend, a true friend over these, about a year now?
About a year now, yes.
About a year. I'll give you all the details about how we met and things like that. But I am just grateful to be in this country, in this space, even with the challenges, the ups and downs, and all the things and sideways ish things. But this month we have been focusing on Hacienda Elm, which is my new 60 plus community living for those who are looking to be in community and have a supported okay, we always got a person who's being a jerk off. We want to make sure we have be in the community basically where we can support each other, right? We want to have more community where there's just this support that we're all looking for, right? And so that's the point of this whole month and why we're here trying to tell everybody about all the things and why this is important, that we don't just leave our older folks, you know what I'm saying, like abandoned and just leave them sitting here doing whatever. Hold on a second. Let me put some maturity here in the chat. Thanks, man, Mado, whatever your name is, for your smart aleck comment. So ridiculous. I swear. Children. Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I just don't get people. It's like nothing better to do. Anyway, so as I was saying, we are super excited to continue talking about Hacienda Elm and all the things that are really important to what we're doing. And I brought Illiana on, and you can tell,
Hi.
yes, I'm really excited to talk to her tonight. You were born and raised in Mexico, correct?
I was
Okay, you
born
can
and
give
raised here in
in
San
San
Miguel.
Miguel, okay. She has helped me with translating and just a host of other things. We won't even get into all of that, but I just want to say that, she's been super instrumental. And if you are in San Miguel and you ever need someone to translate and or to represent you in some way for, paperwork and conversations and things, she's excellent. As you'll learn, her English is great and she speaks fluent. She speaks
Both.
Spanish because that's her first language. But I'm glad that I know you, and I'm super excited to kind of have you on because of her background and her love of food and, the psychology behind aging and just, how we are as humans and things like that. So I want to say welcome to Khadijah. Welcome to Cheryl. Welcome to Shauna. Hey, these are my Casa Elm regulars that show up. Yes, I appreciate them. They've been here. They've been here to Casa actually. So I really appreciate all of you popping in and supporting us. So before we get too deep, and I also want to say thank you to Michelle Watson, our tea sponsor from Ingenuity and Spice Company. I always want to give her big ups. And if you are looking to buy some organic, delicious teas, please make sure you log onto her website. I think she only ships right now in the United States, but she has been so generous over the past 2 years to give us and supply us with her delicious teas and all her amazing flavors. So the link is there. I will also like to say if you are in if you are in San Miguel, we are doing an event this weekend that will be an open house kind of thing. It is limited. We're giving a tour to people who might be interested either for themselves or their loved ones. So you can go to haciendaelm.com and register there. Or if you would like to do one of our virtual presentations, you can do one on June, let's see, the 26th, which is happening next week on Saturday. And ¿qué más?
Yeah, mas.
Yes. Events at Casa Elm, please check those out. We still have a few relocation tours for the rest of the year. You can find those and other events here. I think we have just one space still open for our October meetup as well. You can find everything at that link. So please go there and check that out. If you just want to stay with us, you can book a room. You can see that as soon as you land on the page to book now. Because people ask me this, they'll send me an email, and it's very easy. You can go right there and just see what's available and book your space that way as well. Of course, we don't mind working directly with you. And then I wanted to share that my friend and co-host for Dia de los Muertos, Anne-Marie of Ball Girl Will Travel, is also doing her event, and I know this is closing in the next couple of weeks, but I believe there might be still some spaces still open, so please check it out. If this is something that you want to experience with us, it's going to be a lot of fun. If you click on that link, it will bring you directly to her page and the details and things there. So without further ado, hi Julie. Thank you so much. Julie's here right now. I appreciate her. We've been just chatting away. That's why I'm a little bit like, because I'm really rushing
You're always all
to put,
around me, though.
to put everything together. So anywho, without
Yeah.
further talk, please welcome, I'm welcoming Illiana
Lanusa, yes.
Lanuza
Uh-huh.
to my channel. I appreciate you so much and all the help and just, the research that you put into talking tonight about how Hacienda ties into our conversation and just, your viewpoints and your professional opinion and expertise. So I really am excited to talk to you. So
Oh,
let
likewise.
everyone know.
I had it like big in my calendar. I was like so much looking forward to because we've talked about so many things. We've taken a couple necessary road trips.
Yes. Yes,
And we made
exactly.
that very pleasant, actually, even though the destination wasn't that pleasant, but we made it really pleasant. So I just want to thank you for being here and for inviting me. And it was like a payback, I invited you to my podcast. And
Absolutely. That's right. She has a
yeah, that
podcast. Make sure you share. How
yeah,
can how
I'm
can
gonna
we find
share.
you? Okay.
Yeah. Especially for them to listen. I interview women mostly, and now we're starting. Actually, Michelle is my second American or foreigner. Not American because you're Canadian, but yes, to come to the podcast. But basically, I'm just briefly going to introduce myself. I'm Illiana Lanusa. I'm from San Miguel, but I've lived abroad, and I grew up in a bilingual home, as most of the people here in San Miguel from the 90s. We were a mixed race family, mixed, not race, but
Like country.
country, yeah. And my my interests are sociology. Well, I'm a sociologist, really, but I study sociology in food and culture. Then I had my own restaurant and the first farm to table restaurant in town,
I
which
love it.
was placed in a farm, in my parents' farm. So I grew up in a farm. So my interest about food has always been how we relate to food, and food, what happens inside your plate and outside your plate. And I'm a certified coach as well, and I love learning and studying, and I think I will learn like throughout my life. I don't think it's one of those things that is ever going to happen. And I am very interested in mental health, actually, very, very interested. So the research that I did today or the past few days, it wasn't like, oh my God, I have to research because I wanted to give information for you guys, but it's something that I continuously do, and I teach English, but I also am a coach. So if you need any coaching, here I am. I do it online, or if you're in San Miguel, I'm here, but if you're somewhere else, you can do it online as well. But going back to the question, as I had my director of thesis for my degree was always back to the question.
Uh,
Don't go around. We were just talking before we came live about the importance of living in a community, no? As we age, and not only as we age, I think mainly as we age, because we normally have a community. And if COVID taught us something, is that we're social beings.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that scared me the most when they put us in isolation during COVID was like, what are the mental repercussions that this is going to happen? What what are the mental anxiety, depression? What is going to happen after? More than the physical aspects, because if we think of our brain that holds everything. I was just listening to a podcast about the importance of exercise and mental health, right? And there were this host was having he had the brain in his hand, and he said, can you imagine in this sponge everything is there. If the brain doesn't tell it, that doesn't give directions to your heart, to your stomach, nothing happens, right? So throughout our lives, we have community for school. We have, like you were sharing with me, that when your son was born, you felt a bit lost, and you wanted, because you feel lost and you feel lonely, because people move on with their lives, and what are you gonna do? You have this new human being that you're fully responsible, and you want to feel that somebody's listening to you, that you're not alone in certain problems,
Right.
and that's why we have, if you're fighting addiction, you go to AAA, it really, book clubs, exercise, volunteering, and all those things do help your mental health throughout our lives and our social connections. And our social connections are important so we don't feel depressed, right?
Absolutely.
We don't feel that nobody cares for us. And I think that was one of the things that COVID um, happened, that what happened to the elderly, what happened to the people that are disabled, and they were just left there. And you could see in many countries of the world that they used to put music for people in the balconies,
Yeah,
or
I remember that.
it really put people together, and Zoom put people together, and
Absolutely.
Google Meet and all these platforms. If that wasn't the case, that we weren't social beings, these platforms won't exist,
Exactly. At least
you
not
know?
in the capacity that they do. And I think it was really a beautiful thing to see how quickly people adjusted to getting connected again, and that tells me that it's just our nature. It's human nature, to continuously seek out things that bring us to another person, other people, other situations. A lot of times people will say, well, this is the family I was born into, but sometimes, they will choose other people because that's what made them feel good, right? Their spirit was
Mhm.
fulfilled by this other group, and I think in general, that's what we seek out, is what groups or what circles make us feel important in their eyes, in my eyes, what makes me feel connected to that. And I think that that's one of the things that I've really learned here in having casa, but just living in Mexico. I know as a Mexican person, this is probably just, your everyday norm. And I know that you spent time abroad as well, because we shared a lot of personal stories and things like that. But one of the things that I remember you sharing is like living in the UK and things like that. But here, one of the things I love the most about Mexico is the people and how connected it is. And yes, maybe San Miguel is a little bit more special than
than
Mexico
other places.
City. But I do think culturally that the culture here is warmer
Mm.
than
Yeah,
other
yeah. But I
places.
do think it's a personality trait as well. If you feel warmer, you will attract warm people
True.
towards you as well. Like when I was living in the UK, I felt obviously I was living in my 20s, working in the restaurant industry. So you have something in common. You share things in common, right? And we still really beautifully, even though with the distance, we still share that in common. We have those years that we worked in this really busy restaurant and we talk and we have a group of the people that we really close and we still check on each other. And I still check on my friends, that they're, and I consider them my friends, even though they live in Germany or, well, just to name a few places. But we are gathered. Like you said, we look for people that are similar to us and to have a laugh, to share a movie, to share food, and in sociology, we study the people a bit of both from how our environment affects us, but also how we are affected, ourselves affect the environment, right? Our social groups and so on. And what I like about food, as you know,
Yes, she bakes. Yummy.
it keeps us together.
It does. It's the norm that we gather around food, right? That's, I think, in every culture. People gather to eat,
Mhm.
to be in community, to
To
talk
grow
and to
food,
grow, right? Growing food,
for
learning how,
traditions, for when you're born.
celebrating.
Yeah, celebrating. When you're born, you celebrate the birth, and then you bring food together. Even when we pass, people bring food together so the person doesn't have to worry about cooking and feeding itself, you know? And food it's like at the center of our society, because you can grow it, you can have a garden, you can cook, you can teach, but if you're not interested in those things, you can sit together at a table. It doesn't have to be the most elaborated meal. It can just be sharing cookies with milk,
Oh, I
you
like
know?
that.
Like that. Yeah.
I'm
And
kind of
that
hungry
creates
right now.
memories. Yeah. Now you want cookies. No, because I think now food it's like there's so many things that we taught about food, like, oh, don't eat this, eat that, and body image, and it's just like so all over the place. And what I like to share when I coach is that our relationship with food is as important as our relationship that we have with ourselves, right? Our self-esteem is so important, and food helps that process.
That's
And
true.
when you're in a community that you don't have to worry about going to buy food and preparing it, and then your dietary restrictions, and you can just sit and eat it and sit with a friend and gossip. Women we love to gossip in a
Right.
good
We
way.
like to
It's very
chat. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on what it is. It
But
depends.
it's passing information.
Yeah, it depends. Yeah, because I like to chit chat and just like, depends.
Mm.
Or yeah, it kind of depends. Because sometimes I'm like, "Ah, I don't want to hear all that drama. Because I'm sort of like this way with television shows, especially nowadays. There's so much like reality TV. It's not really reality TV. It's still scripted, but it's like, real life things.
Mm.
And, for me, I literally am like, I just don't want that energy around me. I don't want that.
Mm.
But I understand having the pastime because I see my mom, who has like a lot of her little friends and stuff, and they're just adorable. She has this lady that lives in her building, and her name is Mary.
Mm-hmm.
And Mary is a hoot, right? Mary's well into her 90s, and she loves her animal print and her animal patterns and all that things. And everything is like she's like, oh, and my boyfriend over here, and my boyfriend, like all of the maintenance man, and all. She's just so adorable. She's so vibrant, and I think she's thriving because she still kind of is able to have these interactions. So I think that's super, key, and just being able to have that and not be isolated. I think that's for me the biggest thing is I know what that feels like to a certain degree. And mental isolation is horrible, right? I mean, I guess it would be considered a form of depression. Yeah.
Yeah, and a sort of I was gonna say cruelty, but no, like you're being left there alone, like and because you think nobody cares for you, you know? And sometimes what I like about these new ways of looking at community as we age is that and we were talking about this maybe when you and I were growing up, like all those senior homes, they were like, oh, they were left there to die and were really depressed and they didn't even smell well and they were treated really badly. And now that has changed because society has also changed, you know. And as like I'm single with no kids, right? And I don't want to be a burden to my brother, to my nieces, or to, you know, and but I never really wanted to have kids, so I didn't have them just for the fact that I might be somebody's might look after me when I die, which many people used to have kids for that reason, you know. And now I think the numbers are quite high, like 35% of women don't have kids. And that's going to be increasing, or it's going to increase to 35%, something like that. But the numbers are growing, you know, and choosing these communities to grow old together and to continue to being naughty, because at the end of the day, you have to have joy in your life, you know,
Absolutely.
and you have to
Stay
find somebody.
spicy.
Yeah, yeah,
I
and
always
have,
say that. By the way, I said, I think last week, and I think I
uh-huh,
shared it with you. So I kind of didn't want to talk about it until the end of the week, but then the
uh-huh.
end of the week, my mom and my
Are
auntie
they
are
coming?
coming tomorrow.
How exciting! I want to meet them.
Yeah, you will. And so, one of the things I absolutely love is that, my mom has been here. So, my mom's actually a resident of
Mhm,
Mexico, right? My
mhm,
aunt is not. And so, my aunt is the eldest sibling who raised my mom of 11 of them, right? So, there are lots of age gaps and things like that. But she's the eldest. My grandmom had four girls and the rest were boys. And I think there's only one surviving male. Still, my
mhm,
uncle, who is a bit younger than my mom, just a few years, and then my aunt. So only one passed away. My mom's still alive, and my two elder aunts are still alive, and they're all very spicy. So I call them the Spice Sisters, and
uh-huh.
they're just, incredible. And so my aunt will actually be turning 98. She is
Oh
flying
my
here
God.
tomorrow. She's turning 98 in September, and she will be here for her birthday. So we're definitely gonna have a little
Oh
party or
yes.
something. Because my mom is also turning. Both of their birthdays are in September. So I'm super excited. And I'm just like, pray, drop some prayers for them to get here safely
Yes,
tomorrow. They're
they
doing
will.
nonstop from Toronto directly to
Oh,
Mexico City.
to Mexico City?
Yes, directly to Mexico City. So that's kind of a part of
Did
my.
you tell them that we've had the rainiest season in a very long time and it's going to continue to rain?
For me, it's fine because this
Oh
is,
no,
I
for me it's
think,
fine.
yeah, I think this is the greenest I have seen it. Like, can I tell you? I'm going to see if I can find it. I
Yeah.
don't know if I can share it on my screen, but I took a video the other day at the hacienda, and it was 60 seconds of nature. And it was just so beautiful out there. And I was just like, oh my God, it's so lovely out here. I just love it. Yeah, I don't know if I can find it, but I'll look for
Yeah.
it while we're chatting. But I
Yeah.
have a question. So I want to
Sure.
say first, welcome to CMS. um, Good evening, all from the States. Hi, Tina. Welcome. How are
Hi, everybody.
you? Yeah. Nothing matters but the children, Inc. I don't see the combo, only visit advertisers. Okay, I'm sorry. If you scroll down to the right, I think you should be able to see that. I'm not sure how to guide you through. I hope you can see it now. And hi, Ingrid. I just want to say welcome. And yes, we acknowledged Julie already. But one of my questions I had was, what role does mental stimulation through conversation, storytelling, and activities, what do you think that how that plays in the cognitive health for elders? What like does my question make sense? So I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's
it
just
does.
it's community, but like storytelling for me is big. Like I am pulling
For
out
me
my
too.
video camera when my aunt gets here because she remembers everything. Listen, I helped book her ticket. She was born in 1927.
Oh my
Okay,
God. She was almost my grandma's
1927.
age.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. So
I
she was into
mean,
two wars.
yes.
The
Listen,
depression in 1929. I mean, she was very young. I mean, she was 2 years old, but still, the Great Depression.
I can't wait. So storytelling, yes, and she
Storytelling.
tells stories.
Yeah.
So tell me.
It, no, storytelling, I think in general, that's why
Mm-hmm,
books are continuously to be written. It's very important for us as humans to leave a mark in our world. Most of us want to leave something that we were here, that our life had meaning, right? And storytelling is one way to do it, and that's why traditions exist, and that's why cookbooks from our grandmothers exist, and so we would like to pass on culture and history. And those who normally history like from the world and stuff like that, but our family heritage. And I'm into that family heritage
yes,
thing, and I'm
yes.
searching for that. And when you cannot find something, then you have to create or fill in the gap, right? And for mental health, learning and knowing and that you came from something, because we are connected to our heritage in a way,
Absolutely.
our genes,
Absolutely.
we inherit, I don't know, traits, not only disease, but we inherit many things, customs, and the way we see the world. Who are we connected with? Which places in the world we're connected with? And the more we know about where we come from, the more it resonates with us and it makes sense. So storytelling is important, really important. And then you have something to tell to a new person because we're always meeting new people. And I think as we age as well, no, even though our social groups reduce but become more significant, we know who we want to spend the time with. In our 20s, we normally like we go here and
Say
there
party,
and,
travel,
and we
spend
tell,
money I don't have.
yeah. And as we age, we become more, okay, selective. Who I want to spend my time with because we see time is more limited, right? So we want to tell stories to those people and we want to hear those stories. So,
Absolutely. I
yeah.
think for me, as I'm, even for myself, as I'm aging, and I felt this way in my 30s as well. I remember not ever really feeling extremely maternal, like, oh, I
Mhm.
have to have a baby and I have to be married and I have to have. So, I would say I was oddball because there are a lot of women who feel this way, especially now,
Mhm.
but who've probably felt that way then. But I had a lot of my closer friends who had children very young, and I knew looking at those scenarios, I was just like, kind of like, I just don't want that because it felt that for me, I wasn't ready for those
Mm.
responsibilities. I felt that I had not lived yet. I felt that there was a lot I wanted to explore. And to me, taking care of another human or humans just
Mm.
really seemed like something I would have been pretty upset about, and being in that scenario, especially if the person that I was having a child with, whether it was a husband or whatever, it didn't work out. I think I would have been quite resentful. So universe knew, don't give her a kid because she ain't ready.
Yeah.
She is going to be bitter. And so in saying that, I have beautiful godsons from my amazing friends who are actually quite a few years younger than me, and their kids are like grown, right? They're like
Mm.
27 and in their like late 20s and things like that. So in saying that is that I remember getting into my 30s and starting to think about the relationships I had with these aunts,
Mm.
especially my spiciest aunt. She had me for a few years when I was a child because my mom and my dad needed like assistance and things like that. And so I lived with her for a bit in Toronto, and I will never forget those times with her because I remember her taking me through the city. We would shop with her little wire basket with the wheels on. You know what I'm talking about, right? The
Yeah.
big two wheels, and then
Yeah.
I put all the stuff in, and I'd beg for fruits because I love fruits. She always bought me like delicious, fruits and things like this. And as I started aging and in 30s and late 30s, I started having more maturity about what life is about, right? Because I
Mm.
had traveled at that point. I was like, world traveler. I've been here, all these
Mm.
places. And I realized, okay, if you don't have anyone to really share that with, meaning a child or someone that you can really like, share this with, does it matter?
It does.
Does it really matter? And when I say it, not necessarily from a sense of a child, but just the storytelling aspect,
Mm.
and
It
I
does.
started realizing, like, okay, maybe having a kid might be something I want to do if possible. Because I didn't have my child until I was in my early 40s.
Mm.
And, I had luckily a good pregnancy and no issues and things like this, but I remember feeling this way when I would go and visit them. And it just started telling me the cycle of life even more. Okay, I did this fun thing. I traveled here. I have these pictures. I have whatever. But who's listening to my stories? Who wants to hear about it?
Mm.
And those were the things that became kind of more important. And I realized I love wisdom. I love talking to older people. I love the wisdom they give and the opinions that they pass on. And so for me, wanting to know more as I age has really become a thing. I talked a lot about traveling and going to Jamaica and how much that meant to me. And it's like the more I do it and the more I think about it, the more I see, it's like I want to know more. So that's why I said I'm whipping out my phone. You guys will be hearing way too much from my family, and I don't care because I'm going to be talking about the food in the kitchen. I'm going to be talking about my little spicy aunt who loves to talk about giving people knuckle dusters. But she's just too funny. And just my mom, the two of them together, like two biddies. So for me, it's the sharing of those stories, and again, having them around is just such a blessing, and I feel very honored and I'm so excited and feel very blessed to be able to do that. And that's how I think I realize more and more how I feel about this community that Hacienda is all about, is cultivating that, honoring, wisdom, honoring the stories, honoring, how someone feels in an elder body, right? Because maybe up here they see themselves as being
That's-
half their age,
And that's
right?
what normally happens. Even you
Yeah,
don't have to be, let me turn on one of the lights
sure,
because
go
I
for
think
it.
it's starting to look a bit.
Sure.
Uh,
Hi, Miss Delia. Thank you. How you doing? Thank you all. If you have questions, feel free to ask. Feel free.
yes. Um, and also I think when you have a community that you end up being sharing your time with. like Hacienda Elm is going to be. The beauty is that you can cook, you can read, you can have
Hi,
storytelling.
Gaia.
No, this is Galena. You can
Galena.
have your pets.
Hi.
This is my youngest
She's
and my
so cute.
naughtiest one. She has this face that she doesn't break anything, but she's really naughty, ¿verdad?
Please, if I
Very
had mine up
naughty.
here,
And Gaia is
disaster.
here. I put Agatha away because she's another nutcase.
All your babies.
Yeah, all my babies. These are my babies, and they hear my stories all the time. And pets are very important as we age because they mean something, and they spend time with us, and they give us hugs and care, and also they give us sense of responsibility.
What do you feel about like, pets and aging? I mean, I think a lot of people gravitate towards that kind of companionship, right? They're not
And
a
also
stress.
and also helps a lot because you have to, especially a dog. Obviously, you have to get a dog that it's within your needs, not like a border collie that will drive you crazy and it will
Or a
pull you and
husky.
everything, or a husky, but a dog that will help you to move. I think one of the other things that will help your brain, and that's as I was saying, I was listening to that podcast, and it's moving. You have to move. You have to exercise. I know it's boring to say that because we hear it all the time, and we hear fresh food, vegetables and fruits and grains and whole grains and nuts, but that's the recipe. Sorry to
True.
tell you it's boring, but that's the recipe.
Well, I'm gonna keep plugging. Hacienda is,
Yeah, of
the
course.
intention is just to cover those things. So, because, okay, I'll give you examples for myself, and it's a different scenario. I'm not
Mhm.
retired. I work, I have my businesses, and I have a lot going on. I have a child, and just it's endless, endless, endless. Okay, nobody needs to hear about my laundry list. However, sometimes I think we do end up neglecting nutrition because we're not motivated, we're tired, even if you do like to cook. For me,
Mhm.
sometimes cooking feels, as much as I love cooking, because I love preparing things that feel very ancestral to me. It's like a part of my DNA. Throw some curry on it, get creative. How can I turn this idea into this? And what I know and how I've traveled and what I'm familiar with. But it can be exhausting,
Mhm.
and I think as I've gotten older and all these conveniences where I can just pick up the phone and be like, okay, what am I going to order? And, a lot of the times, yes, they're not necessarily healthy choices, but they're fast and convenient, right? And so that's one of the reasons why it was important for us to incorporate more of the not just the bringing us together,
Mhm.
because clearly if you're there, you want to be there. You don't have to sit and eat at
All
this
together
schedule
all the
if you
time.
don't want to. Correct. Like if you prefer, okay, I want to do this on this day, we're going to be accommodating as much as we can. But it's also kind of we're creating an environment where there's more ease and care in
Mhm.
how you show up every day. And so, if, for example, I spoke to a woman on Friday, it was a great, one on one that we had, and she was curious about Hacienda, and she said, I love to cook. And she's
Mhm.
like, would I have the opportunity to cook? And I said to her, you know what? Absolutely. And I said, right now we have our schedule, but maybe Sundays will be the day for those who want to cook. You can have a community dinner, we'll provide the food and you just tell us what you want to do. And, we can kind of set it up where that can happen, once a week or a couple times a month or something like that. So everything that we are creating has a foundation, but we're also kind of customizing things enough where it feels inclusive of things that people enjoy. habits they may have or things that they have in common or things of interest. I was talking to my client who's currently here, and she was given some ideas as well. We talked about community gardening. We talked about
It's
other parts and other things, growing things and how you find joy in caring for that. I was telling her I always wanted a vineyard so I can say, here's
you
my
can have
bottle of
it,
wine.
yeah,
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 exactly. There's a
yeah,
lot of space to grow,
to grow.
to create, and to be, art, reading, and all the things. So, it's a space where, it's a boutique area to continue exploring,
Hmm.
with the support that someone may need from a physical standpoint, or just like you said, mental standpoint, or, I have an elder parent and I don't want to do this by myself where I still have to work, and we're spread out because I've had that conversation last week with Jackie, who has her mom here in a facility in San Miguel. And she said, my siblings and I were all spread out, but we promised my mom we weren't going to put her in a nursing home. So this is not a
You
nursing
see,
home.
because a nursing home has this
Yeah.
connotation of being so negative. And what I like about you having a space for people to that want to cook is that, first of all, you've done it all your life and you're tired and you don't want to continue doing for to be able to live. But when
Right.
you do it occasionally, you bring your traditions, you bring your the joy, and you do it because you want to do it. It's not
Absolutely.
a responsibility that you have to do. So you put more effort to it, because you haven't done it and you miss it, and more maybe you try new things. So it also gives this sense of I'm gonna share it. I'm gonna nourish these people from my storytelling, and I tell stories through these ingredients, and then it brings you joy because you see them enjoying it,
Absolutely. And
and
just to me,
sharing.
doing things they enjoy. For example, my mom worked really, really hard, to make sure we were okay. She's a caregiver, she's a person who's all about acts of service. And she loves cooking, she likes taking care of people. That's her thing. But I realized as I started getting older that I was at times, this was when I was much younger, I
Mhm.
was a little bit kind of protective of her because I was just kind of like, you go get your hair done, you go get your nails done, you go and enjoy something you want, and are so caught up in vicariously living through your employers and what they're doing and all this. And I said, you need your own friends, you need your
Mhm.
own things to do, And so as I started aging, and really at a younger age, I would say in my late 20s, early 30s, I would say, Mom, go get your hair done. I'll pay for whatever, or let's go on a trip, or whatever the case might be. Because I realized that she was kind of just not yet her person.
Yes.
She was always caregiving and giving and giving and giving, but not pouring enough back into herself. And I think that as caregivers, as women, especially if we have children and we're married or whatever, we have siblings that we are helping to take care of, we're constantly looking out for everyone else. So my mom was always like making sure in the morning we had full meals, we had sandwiches and all the things. And then she would go off to work until really late and, come home, and then next day, rinse, repeat. And, I realized as she started aging, I was like, okay, you got to also do things for you. You don't have to, doesn't have to be every minute of your day time is being consumed by someone else's needs, and just kind of like showing the value that you need to also put on yourself. And I think this is the concept of what I've also learned. And I mean, I'm also guilty of this. I work a lot, I pour into my child probably with the fumes that are left in my life, and, I don't always maybe put as much, like today there was a film crew here today, and that's a whole other story. We'll talk about that later. But they kind of showed up. They're like, "Oh, you look so nice." I was like, like took a little effort to fix myself because I know you were coming, and I pulled the whole dress out. Yeah,
Oh,
and yeah, So the point is that sometimes we get so consumed with doing for everyone else, and as we age, we're tired, and sometimes our mental is just exhausted, and we aren't able to even say, okay, what can I do for me? And I think that this gives that opportunity for us to step back and say, what do we like to do? Do I like to draw? Do I like to read? Do I like to grow? Do I like all these things? Do I like fitness? Do I like walking? Do I want to do it in a group? Do I want to travel? All those
photography.
things.
And
Photography. I love
also,
photography.
yeah, yeah, no,
Yeah.
I love it too. That was one of the other things that I used to do. But I think what you're trying to build is also a place where you're retired, but you're not old, you
Right.
know? And you can volunteer. You can, for example, dancing is super important. I'm not a dancer. I always say I can speak in front of people. I'm not shy about that. And especially about this kind of topics or anything. And I used to cook because I have my own restaurant. So I was worried about people liking my food, but I wasn't worried about talking to them. I've always been a talker,
Okay.
a sharer, a sharer.
Sharer,
Yeah.
sharer.
But dancing, oh my God, that's a different story. But it has a lot of mental benefits and a lot of connection benefits. So if you create a space where people can dance and can wear gowns and make this like, a
Oh, I
night
love
out,
that.
but in the same place, and it will bring sort of you're having a date with yourself and you're having a date with your mates,
Oh, I
you
love that.
know?
I'll have to import some, sexy
Yeah.
bodies and be like, hey, come and dance with these folks.
Yeah. And
Me
and and the
too.
music it's really good for your brain as well. And all these
True.
activities are very good for your brain. Obviously the food that you feed are like leafy greens and nuts and yogurt and probiotics and look after your gut. I can send you recommendations of certain books that you can read. Reading, it's really good. But also games, we were talking about chess
Right.
and there's also online games, no? And like that phrase that I told you at the end is when you live in a community is about adding life to your years, not years to your life.
Exactly. I love that.
And instead of being all worried about what's going to happen with you, um where tomorrow if you run out of gas or those necessities are already covered and you already did your chores through I don't know how many. I was gonna say hundreds of years, but not sometimes it looks like it feels like
It
hundreds of
feels that way. Trust. I've lived many lifetimes already.
years. And you can enjoy now. You
Tired.
can volunteer. Yes, exactly. You can
Yeah.
volunteer because
Yeah.
all those things are being covered. And besides that, you have a community that one day, if you want to stay out in your room watching your own films or reading or doing nothing, you can do that. But if you want to step out of your room and join the community is there for you. So I think that's
Absolutely.
really nice.
And if even, one of the conversations I had this week with my guests and just other folks is, you know, for example, I have a lady that's with me now,
Mm.
and she was explaining how she's an only child, she doesn't have any immediate family that's still alive, and that she would not want to be home alone and be in a space where something happens to her and there's no one really checking on her because she has had that experience where someone that she knew apparently passed away and they didn't know for like a week.
And
And
that happens so often.
it does. It happens even in San Miguel where, there's so many of us that are living alone, young and old,
Um,
where you've seen it on Facebook. People are like, oh, they found so and so in her house and we don't know who her family members. Can anyone tell us? And it's just such a cry for emotional, like, brokenness. I don't know how to say it. Like for me, it's just
yeah.
kind of like I hate to see that so
I
much. And
hate to be that
I
person.
would hate to be that person, but I would hate to also it be where I have all these amazing friends in my community, but I live alone, and they found me like a week later. I'm just kind of like, ugh. It's like the
Yeah.
cat lady. I don't know if you ever watched Sex in the City. I think it was Miranda. I'm sorry, but I love
Yeah,
Sex in the
no,
City.
no, but it
And she's
happens.
like, I
Yeah.
don't want to die like an old cat lady, because I think she was choking on something. And then she's like, and then the cats come and they found me, and the cats ate my face. And, just like ridiculousness, but it is true.
It is
Because,
true,
like
yeah.
yeah. And so the point is, there is going to be the care. We will
Mhm.
have that support 24/7. That is the intention, that we're having activities, we have things people want to be a part of. We want to make sure that it accommodates that creative aspect, people continue feeling like they're thriving, and not just withering away somewhere.
And I
Yeah.
think as we age, as we used to age, not that that philosophy or that idea is that, oh, we cannot learn new things. No, our brain continues to grow, and the
Hmm.
neuroplasticity, our brain is like a sponge, literally. The more you give it, the more will absorb. And you can
Absolutely.
learn new languages, you can learn new games, you can read very complicated things, and that will keep your brain sharp.
Hmm.
And if you continue to have these things, you're not going to age until you're 98 like your aunt. And if you
Yeah.
have a community to that, you add that you have a community, you have a good diet, you move, you can gossip with somebody. I love gossiping because I think it's like bread in my life. I love bread too.
Bread and gossip. I love
Bread and
that. Gossip
bread,
and
gossip
bread.
and
Bread and
coffee.
gossip. Yeah, bread, gossip, and a glass of wine.
Yeah.
I
I
don't
love
know.
it.
Bread doesn't
Yeah.
go with wine.
No, no, it does.
Yeah. Okay, bread and
A good
butter.
sourdough with olive oil and
Oh, that sounds good.
vinaigrette, or and you just you
Yeah, you dip.
you dip
Dip
it
and
and
sip.
like
Dip and sip. I like
yeah,
that.
dip and sip,
There we go.
exactly.
See you guys, like, look, you got something you can do over here. Dip and
Yeah.
sips. Forget about paying sips. You can do dip and sips.
Why painting? That's all people do.
Forget about it. Let's do some dip and sips.
Yeah.
No, I love that.
Anything that keeps you active.
Yeah, absolutely. Just kind of bringing it all together. And, for me, again, I really envisioned the space being full of not just activity, but really care, care for, where it feels like a kind of a big, intentional community. I mean, that's what we are going to be. It is an intentional community. It just has an age bracket on it. And I think that is important for us to see why this means a lot to those who need it, and they may not even know it. So
Mm.
one of the things that Jackie and I talked about last week was just how her mom specifically said, do not do this, do not put me here, do not do, and they all collaborated, meaning her and her siblings, and how that would look. And I think a lot of times we are not necessarily planning or thinking about how our aging looks later in life. And I think it's important that we do that, and how that seems. And being in this community doesn't mean, because so Kayla and I went out. Kayla's my assistant, love
Mm-hmm.
her. We went out on Saturday, and we were handing out flyers and putting them around town and all the things. And I remember, like a few people kind of, because I do this. If someone starts handing me something, I'm just like, like I don't feel like holding any extra paper. So
Yeah.
don't give me anything. But now being on the other end of that,
You're like,
um,
here, here.
yeah, like typically I'll at least take it and look at it if it looks like something I might be interested in. I just don't want to waste a page
Paper.
if it's not
Uh,
for me. But I remember a few people like, okay, this is for, I'm not that old, or I'm not this, or, I remember having like a friend who was kind of like, oh, people that are aging don't want to feel like they're old. And this, I think, no, this isn't to make you feel old at all. This is for you to just say, you know what? I don't need to do this by myself. Yes, you still have your independence. You can go out and do whatever you want. You can travel, you can leave the premises, whatever. It's just we make it easy for you when you're there, right? While you're
Mhm.
there, if you choose to be a part of, let's say, 75% of what we do, that's on you, right? We're still going to make it easy. We're going to make it easy for you to move and navigate how you need to. And for those who might be a little bit older and say, you know what, I'm just tired. Maybe I only want to do this one, activity that you have planned for the week because that's what I enjoy. I want to do sound bowl. I just want
Mhm.
to lay down on a yoga mat and I just want to be, in, a sound bowl bath. Like, okay, then let's do that, So that's kind of the thing that I wanted to emphasize is it's really uh, to support the independence that you already have and you've had for your
For-
entire adult life.
And continue that independence, but
Absolutely.
the things that you're going to be looking after is those trivial things, for everyday
Exactly.
life. And I was
Exactly.
thinking also about if you have a garden, an herb garden, and the orchid and everything, how beautiful it is that you can, and it's so therapeutical, to go and look after the garden and be barefoot in the soil and be in the sun and meditate. So you're doing many things at the same time. Meditating is another thing that's super important, because it gives us sense of purpose. And journaling, that's one of the things that I will highly recommend throughout our life to meditate, exercise. As I said, it sounds really boring because it's all the same, but it takes a habit and a ritual to continue to doing and to be good at an older age. And also, what's very interesting about what happened to you is that it wasn't like you were giving away information about cemetery spots, and and aging is very has that very negative connotation because society has made us feel it's the same as menopause.
Right.
It's like, oh, she's in menopause, she's old, and it's the same as, oh, you're getting old, but we're living longer
Right. We are.
before. So as we are living longer, we need more options.
Exactly. And someone passed an article to me this week. I don't have the link,
Mhm.
but it was about people doing this, getting housing and older people choosing to live together as opposed to living. It's this co-housing, co-living
Mhm.
concept, right? Where the quality of how you are aging is at a higher standard as opposed to, again, I know a lot of times people end up living in their home, because it's sentimental. I respect
Mhm.
that. They stay where they are. There's, all the memorabilia and the photos and all the things. But a lot of times they're still alone and they kind of, they get in their routine. Nothing wrong with
Mhm.
that, where they're watching TV and they're doing their thing and whatever. But what I love about San Miguel in general is that there's so much you can choose to or not. You can make really good friends that have so many things in common. I know a lot of the ladies here that I've, either been at Casa or did one of my relocations or something here. They get together and they go shopping once or twice a week. They have dinner. They'll send me videos and pictures and be like, hey, Michelle, we're at this place and we're enjoying ourselves. And I love to see that because I think we need that. And I think maybe a lot of us come from not having that type of interaction. And I think it's just so important from a mental health standpoint
Mhm.
to have this engagement, even if it's just when you want it to happen
Yeah.
versus all the time. Yeah,
And it's very important that it takes you out of of your comfort zone as well. Because
absolutely.
sometimes you feel like I don't want to go and socialize, but because you don't want to feel alone, you start making choices, either I don't want to or do I want to be alone or and if you live, yeah, it's okay to grow old in your own home, but what if you don't have that luxury because it's a luxury, or you always wanted to live abroad and that's the time that you want to do it, but you don't want the hassle of doing it, like you said, and you have this option. and that it gives you all these other options. You know that you can
Absolutely.
volunteer, you can come and go, you don't have to worry about certain things, you can have your own books, and if you can have your own pets as well, because it's, for me, pets.
That's true. I know, but we don't.
No,
Sorry, we
no,
don't
no, no,
want
no.
pets.
No, but you have the
We may
garden,
have
you
a
will have
special
you
pet.
might, yeah, you might have pets, and you will have other things, and you'll have the
Absolutely.
wine.
I'm gonna grow a vineyard and you all are gonna
You
help
have a vineyard,
bottle
so
the
you'll find
Hacienda
people.
Elm Vineyard.
Yeah,
Hacienda
but
Vineyard.
I
That's
always saw myself like, I'm trying to move to Europe. Eventually, I'll get to Europe. But one of the reasons is strange, as a strange sound, is my best friend is from England, and it's in England. So I'm trying to get as close as I can to England, right? Because I can only work and live in Europe, but not in England anymore.
okay.
But um, and she knows that we always had this idea of growing old together, and we're like, okay,
Oh,
we're in our 40s, but by the time we start doing things,
yeah.
and that's what you do. You move closer to the people that you really love. And I always saw myself with her being naughty. Not that we're very shy and we've been shy, but I think when I grow older, I'll be like, well, I don't give a what happens at the
Right. Oh,
day.
trust. It kicks in real quick.
Yeah.
Little by little, you're like, I'm too tired to care about that. I'm too tired to give up. And yeah, it's funny because there's, for anyone who might be on Instagram, it's called the We Do Not Care Club, and it is hilarious.
Really?
Okay. It just came out of nowhere. I don't know why, but it popped up on my phone a few months ago, and it's this woman is just like, I'm in menopause and we just do not care. And so she keeps going through this list of things, and it is just so funny. She shows up with an eye mask on, a hat, like just, I don't care how I look. We don't care if you're hungry. We don't care if dinner's not ready when you got home. It's just so many things.
I
So
know.
definitely check it out if you're on
I
Instagram. It's
will. I
so
will.
hilarious, and there's so much truth to it as we age. And yeah, I think it's funny and it's truth. Yeah.
And I also think that now our society and social media has put us into a point that everything has to be maquillado. How do you say, like, um not crafted,
Just
I
kind of
don't know.
like the facade
The
kind of
facade
thing.
has to be so beautiful
Oh yeah, no, no.
and tailored and look so we all have to look so perfect and thin and no wrinkles, and come on, gray hair comes with age, wrinkles,
Exactly,
and
exactly.
all these other things. But I think the most important thing to look after is our mobility and our sharpness in our brains. I think as long
Absolutely.
as you have that and you're fit and you can move, you're okay. It's just like you have to look after those two things, which is a lot. Two things that
It
come
is a
with
lot because
a lot of things around it.
yeah, it's a commitment. And so, if you are younger, or if you're a parent and you have kids, I think it's important to try to teach them, the value of good health, fitness, nutrition. I'm going through that where I think it's a struggle because there's so much at our fingertips that make life easier, but doesn't necessarily mean it's good for you, right?
Easier right
And
now.
yeah, exactly. And so it's just important, to stay on those things. I'm glad I grew up in a household where junk food per se was just not a part of our overall agenda. I mean, we
Mhm.
ate a lot. My mom cooked. We ate a lot because Jamaicans, we cook big pots of food and stuff. And so when I was in my later teens and definitely, I'll say more so early 20s, and I started working, I started really getting more and more into fitness. I was always on athletic, but I started getting more into fitness where I had a routine. So it was very easy to adopt the nutritional aspects. I took college classes that were about nutrition, and I learned a lot about just the foods and why certain demographics mine in particular, why we ate certain parts of animals. And I was
Mm,
kind of, ooh, okay, I don't, I like the way liver tastes, but I'm not eating that anymore. Things like this. And there are
mm-hmm.
different, stories, and there's a lot of history behind all of it. But overall, the point of saying all of that is that, we definitely have to teach. Um,
Yeah,
our
definitely.
we have to learn, but we also have to teach the younger generation about nutrition and things, because nowadays there's just so much crap in the food, and our bodies have changed. Like if you look at pictures of people probably across the board in
Mm-hmm.
the 60s and before, they had a lot more fitness, they probably walked more, there weren't as many conveniences, there was maybe less fast food, less pizzas and hamburgers and all the stuff.
Less gyms.
No, right, less just walking, less
Yeah,
burgers and
gardening and
all
yeah.
that, right. And they were more outside. I remember when we were kids, we played outside all
Oh,
the time. We didn't even have a TV, right?
yeah.
We were deprived, but we were outside
For
running
you.
around playing, yeah, all the time. And so it makes it easier when it's just a part of your routine versus not. So yeah. Thank you, Iona. Thank you. Hi, Khadijah and Miss D. BD Ross. Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Hello.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I just, wanted to really talk about the mental health aspect, and not just, why the facility exists like we did last week. We focused on, the type of care, how much that looks like, and what that looks like here, and why both Jackie and I, even culturally, we just really feel more comfortable in terms of the kind of care you can receive, what people are putting into it, why, from our experiences of living in the North, how it differs for us. I mean, I know you're from San Miguel and
Mhm.
Mexico originally and things like that, but we are able to talk about those cultural differences here. And this week it really is to talk about why the mental health aspect is really important. And I think in our 50s and our 60s, it's kind of like, hurrah, I'm still out here doing my things. Not to say in your 70s you're not, but I do think that we start feeling different. Like even now, our
Mhm.
bodies start feeling different, and it's harder to navigate and move around and mobility. And I'm going to say this because I love hiking.
Mhm.
Put me at the top of a mountain and I'm
Me
happy,
too. We should
okay?
go together.
We
Uh-huh.
should totally go together, okay? So I went recently with, I think it's, how you say,
Oh,
Aleph,
for the mushrooms?
no, he's not the mushroom guy.
Okay. Somebody else.
I don't know, maybe he does, but he does hikes.
Oh,
But I know who you're talking about because I did one of those mushroom
uh-huh.
foraging
I had
a few
him.
years ago. Have you done that?
No, but I had him for the podcast. Very interesting guy.
Oh, okay. So he does like this. Is he the one that supplies the is it symbiosis
Yeah,
mushrooms
Symbiosis. He's
and?
the owner of Symbiosis.
Oh, okay,
But I
symbiosis.
don't know
That's
if the
right.
same guy. Uh-huh.
No, it was a different guy, and I know who you're talking about because I did one of his tours a few years ago. I think it was the summer or fall of COVID, and we were just like, I need to get out of the house. And I was like, outdoors can't be bad, right? We all
No?
drove in our individual cars and stuff. It was so incredibly interesting because you see the mushrooms, then you don't really see them, and then suddenly you see them. Okay, and we're not talking about psychedelic
No.
mushrooms. I just want you all to understand it was mushroom foraging for mushrooms. Am I
Mhm.
saying that correct? And we're like out, and we're in some forest. I don't remember where the location was, but it's like a few hours away from here. I don't know if he shared that where
Mm.
they go. It's kind of like a campground. There's a river. It's in the mountains.
Is
It
it
was
near
just
here?
beautiful.
It's near Dolores.
It was at about a 2 hour drive from here, I
Okay, so
think.
probably near Dolores.
Dolores.
After
Yeah.
Dolores. Yeah, because we were talking about the places and the different areas that he goes to. It was very interesting chat.
It was super interesting to be there because, he was just, they had us like go through the forest, and they gave us baskets, and we were like, picking all these things, and they had just like colors was crazy, like blue, like indigo blue and reds and all this stuff. And anyway, in the end, they kind of had a whole chart, right, and told us like which ones were safe, which were poisonous, la 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 la. And then they cooked a whole paella
With
with some of those mushrooms, which I didn't trust because I was just like maybe a poisonous one got in there somehow. I have no idea. But the point is that it was a grand experience, and I love being outdoors and I like hiking. So I went hiking a few weeks ago, 2 Sundays ago, not this past Sunday, the Sunday before, and I was in my mind, I'm 27.
you're
My
like,
body is like, hello, you are trying to move too fast up these rocks and all the things. But the point is that, we don't realize sometimes our limitations because we're so used to one thing and how our body responded to certain things. And now I'm starting to become more aware of those changes. And how also all of that may tie into even how much I'm doing from a mental standpoint and why it's important to stay,
active.
cognizant and active, but also aware of this. And, like I remember going up thinking, okay, I did it, I made it, but I'm tired, and I know that I need
And I
this
need
rest
the
or I need to stop and say, I need to catch my breath right now because my mind is like, oh, you've done this before. You've done this plenty of times, but I had not done it for a while. And so just kind of, having that acceptance, that grace
Mhm.
for changes and things that we need to be more aware of. But as I said, being okay with getting the help when you need it. When you
Yes,
start getting to those chapters, be okay with that. Don't feel like it's somehow something
debilitating.
exactly.
It's not
Don't,
debilitating.
it's not. It's not. It's here
No.
for you. It's here for
Hmm.
you.
And
Yeah.
as nowadays, I like that we're more aware of those big words, needing help, mental health, um, healing. It seems like we talk a lot about, or we hear a lot about, oh, we have to heal this and we have to overcome this. And before we didn't have that time, we didn't have that luxury. I think this is
Yeah.
the generation, this is the time to do it. This is the time to understand it as well. And to embrace that
Absolutely.
our head, like I said at the beginning, that's where everything is stored, but you should
Absolutely.
look after it. You should, and
Absolutely.
I normally don't use this word that you should, but I think we should look after our brain, because our brain is the one that's going to take us all the way to the end. Will bring
Absolutely.
us from the beginning and it's going to be there till our to the end. And our brain and our heart, obviously the rest, because we're this dance with the rest of our body, and we're this communication. All of it has to communicate, but our brain is the one that has to communicate to the rest what to do. And it could be our enemy if you feed him wrong, but it can be your best ally if you feed it the right things.
Exactly.
So it's up to us to understand that part. And part of being in a community, part of being social, part of doing exercise and all these other activities is to keep it healthy. And therefore we're
Absolutely.
gonna stay healthy and balanced and everything. And
Absolutely.
even if you cannot, like when you're somewhere and you cannot be, because touch it is also so important. One of the first things after the pandemic is people wanted to hug because it regulates your heart rate. So if you
Absolutely.
don't have somebody hug your dog, hug you,
Hug a
because
tree.
hug a tree, yeah, walk barefoot. It does regulate your system,
Absolutely.
and mental health is super important, throughout our lives, but especially at the end, because you feel that after all that effort, you're starting all over again because now somebody has to help you move, somebody has to help you
Yeah.
feed yourself, but then you can give yourself time to tell your stories, to write them, to
Absolutely.
share them, to,
Yeah,
you
be caught
know,
on Michelle's video camera.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
telling you, I love talking to, like
Yeah.
my aunt, she remembers so many things, and I love that shares, and she's detailed, and she remembers her siblings' birthdays, and and just her sharpness is amazing to me. Because my other aunt who passed, she just had a different life. It was stressful. She had a lot of mental stress, and she started forgetting, and she, passed
That's
away
so for
with
me though.
dementia.
Hmm.
And right, and went downhill. I'm grateful though that she was with her family and not somewhere forgotten. And my cousin was very adamant about taking care of her, but I saw both things, and she died at a younger age. But I saw both sides where it does matter, and she spent, I think, initial years by herself. I remember I would go visit her in Canada, and she was kind of like down and downstairs in her space, and living in her space, and she did her routine and did her things, but she wasn't necessarily in constant community.
Hmm.
And I think that can play a lot on the brain,
A lot.
and how we process and the way we think about things. So I even have to tell myself, like, just because you think this way in the moment doesn't mean that's what it is, right? And you have to kind of move away from it and just let things kind of play out, let it go. Tomorrow's another day, don't stress. But sometimes, we have to be aware of what is our lifestyle, what are our stressors, what are our things, and are we taking enough breaks? Are we paying enough attention to, like you
Are we
said,
sleeping
are we
better?
sleeping enough, and are we doing the things that bring us joy? That's key. I think joy, having joy in our lives, and even longing for something, and working towards something, but just being like, what, I can't wait to do that. I can't wait to get there. I know for me, when you mentioned dancing, I love dancing, but
Hmm.
I'm very specific about it. I want to
Hmm.
hear reggae music, and I want to dance to reggae, or something that I like, things that I enjoy. But the movement of dancing is so freeing to me. It feels good. I feel like y'all don't know me, because I'm going to be this whole other person over here,
But that's so
because
beautiful.
it is, because I'm reliving like a time of my life, and I can close my eyes and picture if I hear a specific song. And I know we all can relate to this, right? You
Hmm.
hear a specific song that makes you feel good, and you can be like, oh, I remember when I was in this place and I was over here, and I heard that song for the first time, or I really loved this song and I sang it, da 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 da. And we remember the words and all the things, right? And it just motivates the body. And I love, love, love that so much. So I'm glad that you brought that up, because I
Yeah.
think music and dancing and movement brings a lot of joy. It
Yeah.
does. It really
Robbie
does.
Williams for me.
Who?
Robbie?
Oh, I know him.
Yeah, Robbie is just like,
What's your favorite song by him? Because I
oh, it's
see him dancing where he starts
Angel. Yeah, Angel
morphing.
is really good, but I think
What's the one he starts morphing in the video? Where he's
I th-
like, and he starts taking off his
yeah, and
shirt
the skin,
and
and
the
then he
skin. What song is that? That's what I remember.
I don't remember. I've seen him in concert a couple times, and I think, and nowadays I admire him so much, especially now too, because he reinvented himself, and he went through
Oh,
hell
okay.
and back.
Okay.
And seeing him in concert, especially that time in England, he was like this goddess, was like Elvis Presley, right? And we were wowing him. I went to this concert in Live Aid concert in Hyde Park, 250,000 people just
Ooh.
dancing at the same time and
I
just
remember him because I used to, it was him and another guy. The other guy was older, and I could see his face because I'm visual. I don't remember their names. But anyway, I just remember liking that video, and I was in Europe when it was popular. This was back in the
rock
90s.
DJ. Rock DJ. He was like dancing and taking his skin off. I'm talking about singing, but
That one,
yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah,
just want to rock. Yeah, something like
yeah,
that.
yeah. Yes. Okay. So
But it's
okay.
really important, and that's why people returning to music now to Robbie. Um, that's why sometimes putting classical music, helps you concentrate and focus. And
Yes.
when there's these things, I don't know if they're ridiculous or not, but when the babies are in the womb, to put classical music to
It's
make them
not,
smarter.
because I did that. I
Okay.
did that. And
No, I
there was one
imagine.
song in particular. Well, I
Uh,
did classical because I love classical music too.
uh,
But I used to play, I think it was Anita Baker. You
Mosquito.
bring me
Uh,
joy. And I would play that and I would put those little headphones on my
uh,
stomach. And yeah, I would play that on a regular basis. And he would move around a little bit in
oh,
there,
yeah,
you
of
know?
course.
Yeah, it wasn't blasting, but I
Yeah.
remember in the beginning of my pregnancy, I worked in a nightclub restaurant
Uh-huh.
in Miami, and I would walk in and that music was loud. And I remember he would move
Yeah.
around like, what just happened? Because it was super quiet at my house. And then we would get there and it was
It's
just like,
funny.
reggaeton and Celia
Yeah.
Cruz and yeah, and all the things. And so it was just really, really funny that, this, not funny, but it's just like interesting because, yeah, the babies too respond to this as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Khadijah said, LOL, Michelle has a reggae dance hall alter ego. Oh, girl, you have no idea. Like you would not recognize me. The glasses, blah. Yeah. Yeah. So you're like, girl in our boom boom shots. No, I used to be out there like having a good old time. So for me, when I hear music, reggae, dance hall from the 90s, I absolutely just invigorated. I don't even know what to say. I don't need
For
a
me,
man. I just need
yeah.
a wall. I just need something to brace. I'll be like, yep, yep, this is my song. This is my jam. And another one comes on and another. And yeah, I really, really enjoy listening to music that I love and dancing. So I really do miss that. Yes.
It's like me, food. Like I said, for me, that's the thing. Research and food, and researching about food and mental health, and like I love being in. You see, in my apartment, it's full of books, and I think that's one of the first things that people see. And just, I'm very curious about deeper things, and
Yes.
finding the whys. I think that's why, not I think. I know that's why I became a sociologist because it also gave me the freedom to break the rules, the social rules, because I learned the rule, and I was like, oh, okay, I don't want to be a number. What do I have to do not to be a number, a statistic?
Right, right.
Okay, so I have to be single, no kids at 4. Yeah, okay, great. And then I can move and I can do this. And that was
Have your
always very
freedom.
curious. I was very curious about that. So I think whatever makes you happy, I think that's the most important thing. And if you keep moving
Absolutely.
and you keep creating, and like you can even have a podcast in your place, in that
Absolutely.
and
We're
people
gonna have
can
a
share their
podcast about
stories.
stories, their older
Yeah,
stories,
like
and
similar
their
to the one that I have, Kingdom of the Kitchen Table, that people come and share their lives and their stories, and now we have so many options, I think,
absolutely
and
to
ways to
share.
do it, to share.
Absolutely, absolutely. What is the name of it?
My podcast,
Yes, you said
Kingdom of the Kitchen Table.
Queendom,
Kingdom
Queendom of the
of the Kitchen
Kitchen Table. I
Table.
love that. I mean,
Yeah.
I was on it. I
Yeah,
haven't
but
heard
you
it
don't
yet
remember
because
the name.
well, yeah, because we just started
Yeah.
talking.
Yeah.
But I love the title. I think that's awesome. I don't know
Yeah.
if it didn't air yet, did it?
No, 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 it hasn't. No,
Okay, make
because
sure
it's
you
until
share it
August.
so
No,
I'll
of course,
share.
I'm gonna share it. That's why I haven't shared
Okay,
it with you, but I will definitely share it with you.
okay,
Yeah,
okay. So
yeah,
you
yeah.
all look her up. So what platforms can they find you on?
Spotify and Amazon Music.
Okay, Spotify, Amazon Music, Queendom of the Kitchen Table. I'm gonna put it in the chat.
Yeah.
Queendom of the
At the
Kitchen
moment, it's only one episode
Table.
in English, but it's gonna be now one episode of in English a month, and the
Okay,
rest is in Spanish.
okay. So Spotify and Amazon Music, you said?
Yes.
Okay,
And also we're on Instagram.
okay. On IG at the same name.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna type it. Queendom of the Kitchen. Oop. So used to putting spaces here.
Yeah, I know.
Table.
When you do
Got it.
yes. Great.
I love it. Cheryl, she says I'm the same way with house music. I absolutely love house music. Not techno so much, but I love house music. Anything with like that, bottom beat and
Uh-huh.
a good rhythm. I mean, just move out my way. I might break something nowadays because I really have a good dance for a minute. When I was in Jamaica, I did get to go out and whew, I had fun. I only went out once though. I was there for like a month, and that was because I was with my kiddo, so I didn't want to leave him. Um, Someone said, "Love it." Are you from? Oh, she's asking. Khadijah's asking her. If she was from Baltimore because she loves house music. Yes, I remember
Oh,
those days. I had a good friend who lived in Baltimore, and we would go down. That's when they had like the Doodoo Brown. That was the song called the Doodoo Brown, and that was like the thing. People would get that, or it takes two to make a thing go right. Those
yeah,
house beats. You remember all that stuff, girl? Like dating myself over here.
yeah.
Anyway, this has been really beautiful and
Oh,
amazing. I
thank you.
appreciate you so much. I don't know
Oh,
if there's
me
anything
too.
else you want to add
No,
before we
anybody
jump
has any
off.
questions or
No,
nothing?
we had our listeners. I appreciate all of you. Hi, Iona. You're so welcome. I hope I didn't miss anyone. If I didn't say hello, I apologize. I'm so, so excited for you all to have been a part of this tonight, and thank you for coming on. Again, if you did
Okay.
not hit the like button and you're still here, please do so. Like, subscribe, and like, share with whomever. Casa Elm is here in San Miguel. We are a boutique guest house space. We help with relocation, people who just want to visit. If you want to stay here a little longer, you want to see what San Miguel is like, and you want to stay for, a month or whatever, we can accommodate all those things. We do have tours coming up. I think there are just two more left for the rest of the year, so please visit our events page on casaelm.com to see what is left. We have a meetup in October and a bunch of other things. If you're looking for a space for your loved one, for yourself, 60 plus community, which is what we're focusing on this month, please go to haciendaelm.com and check us out there. I will at some point have a more virtual presentation that I will post on my channel so that you all can basically see more of Hacienda. Next week, we're going to be talking to Dr. Acosta, and she is a gerontologist, I believe.
Oh,
And I'm excited to speak with her. She's also from Mexico, bilingual. She's worked a lot with, an older demographic in many capacities. So I'm very excited to have her on as well because, I'm trying to give everyone, like, kind of hopefully a
of
full
course.
round circle of the type of care, the type of individuals, the effort and the love that we're putting into what we're doing at Hacienda. So if it's a space that you're interested in, please feel free to reach out to us. We can do one-on-ones. You can book that online. I forget which 2 days of the week we have available. You just go in. It doesn't cost you anything. We'll talk to you about what your needs are and the process and the steps involved. We are also offering, if you want to try it for a minimum of a month, that's what we're asking. You can do that, maybe even 3 months to kind of really get a good feel. So just reach out to us. We have emails available from info@casaelm.com in case you forget. You can also do info@haciendaelm.com. I think some people are confused about
What?
that there's two separate things, two separate
Mhm.
places or whatever. I spoke to a beautiful woman earlier, had a meeting with her, and she was kind of like, "Oh, I didn't realize it was two separate places." So that's the
Two different
clarity.
venues.
Yeah, exactly. Iona said, "I just subscribed to the podcast. Yay!
Oh,
Looking forward to
great.
listening in both English and Spanish since she needs some Spanish practice every day."
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Perfect. And you learn more about San Miguel, and that's basically, and there's information about how to find my things, my coaching as well. So if you need anything, that's mostly everything. But
Okay, and they can find your coaching on the Queendom at
Kingdom, and yes, but
Queendom. Let me see.
also on Instagram.
Okay.
As Gaia Holistic Coach.
What
Yeah.
is it?
Gaia as and she moves. It's under the
Holistic
name Gaia as GAIA.
IA, holistic coach.
Holistic Coach on
Okay.
Instagram. And they can send me a message through there.
Okay. I'm putting that in the chat too. Is the holistic coach with a double C? Because sometimes people combine.
Yeah, holistic.
Holistic, double CC.
Let me tell
Holistic
you.
with the.
Gaia Holistic. Give me one. Yes, double C.
Okay. All right. They got it.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, Iona. She said, yay, and congrats for Hacienda. Thank you so much.
Yay.
Exciting. Gracias, ladies.
Yes,
Buenas
thank
noches to
Buenas
everyone.
noches,
Thank you so
everybody.
much
No,
for
thank you. It
coming
was lovely to see
on.
you.
Yes,
Thank
likewise.
you so
And
much.
you're welcome. Hang
I
on for a
enjoyed it.
second. Yes, I
Yeah,
did too. Thank you for your expertise and insight. It was wonderful. All
thank
right,
you.
1 second. Let me just get this. Okay, because YouTube
Good.
has a delay of like
Uh-huh.
about